Democrat Senator Cory Booker has a mental breakdown on the Senate floor and starts screaming at his fellow Senate Democrats for not being Trump deranged enough. The speed at which the Democrat Party is imploding on itself is nothing short of impressive. This long string of wins by Donald Trump, coupled with the Democrat Party approval rating being at historic record lows, has made them more desperate than ever, and they are tearing each other apart. This is causing some in the Democrat Party to see the writing on the wall, that they are about to face an absolute bloodbath in the midterms because all they have to show their voters is a compilation of failed political stunts meant to oppose the president's agenda and a lack of willingness to provide any meaningful or tangible benefit to the lives of their constituents. So yesterday, when Senate Democrats tried to put forward a bipartisan bill that would provide much needed support and funding to police departments all across the United States, Cory Booker loses his mind and lambasts his Democrat colleagues for working with these dirty Republicans in any kind of way, even if it means supporting law enforcement, because to him, the most important thing Democrats should be prioritizing is their losing battle against Donald Trump. The second most important thing is their unwavering support for illegal immigrants, obviously. And then a very far off third is the well-being of the actual American citizens that you were elected to represent. And this absolute public display of dysfunction coming from the Democrat Party has MSNBC even admitting that it's probably already over for the Democrats in the 2026 midterms. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I know you guys are gonna love this one, but let's start with hearing from Democrat Senator Amy Klobuchar, who calls out Cory Booker for not supporting this bill for law enforcement.
These bills help fund grants for mental health services for law enforcement. And by the way, if this issue, which I agree with Senator Booker on, about that all these states should be treated the same, well, then I suppose then he will be voting against all of this funding for New Jersey unless this is changed. So we should be watching for that for every single vote, instead of just these bills that are in front of us that were supported unanimously out of committee. Grants that help law enforcement combat child sexual exploitation. Grants to help address the recruitment and retention crisis that is plaguing local law enforcement. Our brave law enforcement professionals deserve to know that the resources they rely on will be there when they need them. And I hope we can work some of this out. I completely agree with Senator Booker about what this administration is doing. But you can't just pick out a few bills that came out of a committee and say, I'm going to stop those, and then allow for other bills that fund other parts of your budget in your state.
Now, Amy Klobuchar is Trump deranged. Don't get it twisted. But what you're seeing right now is survival instinct starting to kick in. The Democrats realize that they have nothing. They have no power in Congress. They're losing every legal battle in the courts. They're losing the battle of public opinion. Americans see their performative theatrics as ineffective, childish, and meaningless. They saw their No Kings protest as a giant waste of time and a joke. They see Trump closing the border, signing trillion-dollar trade deals, bringing manufacturing jobs back to America, lowering energy costs, and it's getting a whole lot harder for them to explain why people shouldn't support the Republican Party simply because Donald Trump is bad. If Trump had Democrats on their heels before, now he has them flat on their asses. And that's causing Democrats like Amy Klobuchar to realize that their own self-preservation relies on actually working with the Republicans in a bipartisan way to try and deliver something positive to their constituents that they can run on in the midterms. And why she's upset is because Cory Booker blew the entire thing up because he doesn't like who the president is. He even admits that he supports the legislation. He is refusing to give his own party a slight win, something beneficial for their constituents, simply because it would also be a slight win for Donald Trump. And now this is where Cory Booker loses his mind and explodes and descends into this emotionally distressed mental breakdown and starts screaming at Amy Klobuchar. Watch.
I don't need somebody implying in any way that this is not vital to me and my state, that we have resources for our police officers. That's why I support this package. That's why I'm a co-sponsor of some of the bills in this package. But what I am tired of is when the President of the United States of America violates the Constitution, trashes our norms and traditions. And what does the Democratic Party do? Comply? Allow him? Beg for scraps? No, I demand justice. Somebody's implying that this to me is not about resources for my state. I will fight for Jersey every day, every night.
Now, first off, where's the outrage from the Democrat Party on how he's talking to this woman, just screaming at her? I mean, we had legitimate critiques of Kamala Harris, her policy, her personality, her competence, and we were met with, oh, you just don't like her because you're a woman, you're a racist, you're a misogynist. But Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries' emotionally unhinged big dumb cousin, is yelling at this woman because she wants to be an effective politician and not just a Trump deranged lunatic. His whole argument is, yeah, this legislation is really good, but guys, Donald Trump, you're taking your eye off the ball. He's clearly refusing to get off of the Donald Trump is a threat to democracy train, even though, like a Wile E. Coyote episode, the tracks are about to take the entire Democrat Party off of a cliff. Cory Booker is trying to appease the chronically online, not real life people. And when I say chronically online, this is what I mean. Politicians like Cory Booker will see what's popular on X or what's popular on TikTok and think that's representative of the overall sentiment of the general public, even though the people that they're trying to appeal to on X and TikTok are the most radical and out of touch. And they're willing to do things like oppose a police funding bill and lose favorability with 90% of the public just to get some likes and shares from 10%. Now, beady-eyed Cory Booker's tirade is only beginning. Here he is continuing to double down on trying to receive applause from a 22-year-old gender studies major who's chronically on TikTok. Take a look.
This is a call, folks. The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president, not caring about the larger principles, that those free speech rights, that you could take on any client, why are you bending the knee? I see universities that should be bastions of free speech bending at the knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today, let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes. That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution.
It's like the talking points are so tiring. He's trashing the Constitution. He's an authoritarian. There are two schools of thought in the Democrat Party right now on how to fix their record low approval rating. You have people like Amy Klobuchar that are realizing for the entire duration of Trump's presidency, the Democrat Party has pretended to be this strong opposition, resistance movement to Donald Trump. And because they have failed so badly in that regard, that's what's led to their record low approval rating. She thinks we can't keep up this losing battle. Maybe it's time for a strategy change and actually working in a bipartisan way to bring some tangible benefit to our constituents. That'll at least let the Democrats run in the 2026 midterms on actually trying to do some stuff. Maybe being able to tout a few small victories. Otherwise, they just look completely useless. And then you have the Cory Bookers, who believe their record low approval rating is because the constituents are unhappy that they aren't fighting hard enough. But because he's a spineless performative politician, he mistakenly believes that the radical base wants more long, emotionally unhinged speeches on the Senate floor getting mad at other Democrats. No, what they want is blood from you politicians. They've seen enough speeches. They've seen enough protests. They've seen enough cringy TikTok videos. They've seen enough persnippety tweets about how bad Donald Trump is. They want Democrat politicians to get violent and get shot and killed if they have to, because it was Democrat politicians that told them their country is on the line. They are on the brink of a Nazi takeover. Cory Booker's battle cry might even have a little bit more meaning if he himself was willing to lead this charge, put his body and life on the line to oppose this authoritarian takeover. But he's not. So all he's doing is hyping up this radical, already bloodthirsty base, trying to convince them that he is the guy who's going to lead this battle that they care so strongly about, only for him to do absolutely nothing about it and continue to tank the Democrat Party favorability in the process, all while denying Democrats even the possibility of regaining some ground by passing some popular police funding. But here's the last part of this meltdown where he starts declaring, "I'm from Jersey, you gotta go through me." And then we'll get into MSNBC calling this moment embarrassing for Democrats and predicting they're probably screwed in the midterms.
It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that we're agreed with? When are we going to stand together? If we don't stand as Democrats, we deserve to lose.
Now hit the like button if you're enjoying watching the Democrat Party fall apart in real time as much as I am. But I want to get straight into MSNBC clowning Cory Booker for this embarrassing stunt.
Well, it's great theater that we just saw. Cory Booker, a good guy, standing up and yelling on the floor of the United States Senate. What I don't understand is he's yelling at two other Democrats. The Democrats have enough problems. They have enough problems in this country defining themselves to people, making sure that people know, no, they are alive.
That is why the Democrats are going to get smoked in the midterms, is because it's currently embarrassing as hell to be a Democrat. People have heard you say Donald Trump was a threat to democracy. They don't see it. They've heard you say he's going to tank the economy. Hasn't happened. They've heard you say his tariffs won't work. They have. They've heard you say he's going to take your rights away. We still got him. Now, there are definitely a large amount of Trump deranged people who are perfectly okay being delusional fools because it makes them feel smart and self-righteous and protects their fragile egos. But most people, a huge majority of people, do not want to be part of the losing team. And that's what the Democrat Party is right now. A bunch of whiny, helpless losers. And that's what causes this lady on the MSNBC panel to admit that it is not looking good for the Democrats going into the midterms.
There's a way to change a bill. And then there's a way to get in the opening segment of Morning Joe and on the front page of the New York Times. And Cory chose the latter rather than the former. He knew if he did this, it would be a viral moment and he would be associated with Democrats who are willing to fight. Meanwhile, this bill didn't impact funding, and there probably was not the leverage to do what Cory would like to do, which is defy Donald Trump, because we don't have the votes in the Senate. I mean, they just approved a judge that's totally unqualified, and you had a couple of guys who aren't even running for re-election who folded on Emil Bove. So Cory knows we don't have the votes in the Senate to do what the base wants us to do. So the way he criticized his colleagues is really unusual, kind of unheard of, and frankly, to me, a little worrisome with what we have in front of us and the fights the Democratic Party needs to wage next year in the midterms.
Democrats like Cory Booker assume what the people want to see is them trying to resist and fight Donald Trump. But he's wrong. They want to see them win against Donald Trump. And like the lady said, winning against Donald Trump right now is impossible. They have no power in Congress. Every single one of their unconstitutional blocks by these rogue activist judges are getting overturned. They've lost 100 times in 7 months against Donald Trump, but they still want to keep trying because they think the trying is what people want to see. And to touch on another one of the lady's points, the reason the Democrats are so out of touch with regular people, why they can't connect with Americans, is because, like she said, they live for viral moments. They think everything is a meme. They think their job as a politician is to get the most shares possible on TikTok, not improve the lives of the people who elected them. And what Amy Klobuchar was trying to tell Cory Booker is that, fine, we spent the first 7 months trying to fight Donald Trump, but it didn't work. So let's not have a repeat of the 2024 election where the Democrats had absolutely nothing positive to run on and had to make their whole campaign about Donald Trump's a Nazi, Donald Trump's a threat to democracy, and we saw that that didn't work. And she's saying, why are we going to try the exact same strategy in the 2026 midterms, especially since none of our doomsday predictions came true, and Donald Trump and the Republicans are going to have loads of tangible wins to run on? Democrats like her are going to lose the midterms to Republicans who can say to the constituents, hey, if you want more of this winning, vote for me. Or super far left socialist radicals who will say, hey, I'm willing to get shot for you. But Cory Booker, being the narcissist that he is willing to blow up the entire Democrat Party, which is already hanging on by a thread because he's upset he doesn't get what he wants. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.